In the bear market, Chainlink has a market cap, I think 3 billion. So just by getting to the level of Ripple, they would almost pull a 10x from here. And this is called the build program. And essentially, it means that if you want Chainlink, you need to pay in the form of money to Chainlink Labs and in the form of tokens to Chainlink node operators, and Chainlink stakers. And now that you have a stable coin, you want that to be across chains. So as an engineer, you're like, yeah, we got this platform and it already offers what we need. Why should we, get busy with another platform? Solana is far behind Ethereum on the settlement layer and has significantly less money. So no competition. Bitcoin, technically behind, but they have 3-4 times the market cap. This is not novel development. If you understand a little bit of history, computer science, you know what happens next. And the idea is you write code and then you deploy it on 10 chains. But it doesn't matter what virtual machine, what version of EVM, what this. And again, there's just no competitor to this.
Hello, David. Thanks for coming to the podcast.
Nice to meet you, Nico. Pleasant to see you again.
All right. So you have been an avid Chainlink maximalist ever since I got to know you. So today we are going to talk about a little bit about your favorite project and what is coming up for the bull run, I guess. We are also going to, in the end, talk about a price target that you think Link can reach. So stay tuned for that one. But let's start in the beginning and tell me a little bit about Chainlink and what services does Chainlink provide for other crypto projects?
So everything you can't do on a blockchain, you can do with Chainlink. And there's a lot of things you cannot do on a blockchain that you need Chainlink for, which is getting any data on chain, may it be price data, may it be from custom APIs, or whatever it is. If you need data, there's one good way to do it, and that's Chainlink. Second, if you need computations, say you have a complex problem you need to solve, and while you can theoretically do it on blockchains, it just costs way too much gas. Chainlink is the answer with their product called Chainlink Automation or Computation. Then, and by the way, the first one is called like Chainlink Any API for any data that is on some server like Google, Chainlink Price Feeds for data, and Chainlink Low Latency Oracles for high performance oracles. So those are the data products. Then you got the computation product. You got random numbers, which is kind of like a nerdy niche product, but you still need it for example, fair mints for NFTs that nobody can game, or in GameFi or lotteries, you need random numbers because who controls the random number controls the outcome. And probably one of their biggest products that released some time ago is CCIP, which is their cross-chain interoperability solution. That's probably the product that the day-to-day user might come into contact the most, because we all know that the pains and struggles of moving between this layer 2 and that side chain, or between all these chains and the custom bridges and the hacks and the costs. And that's where CCIP comes in and makes life for the everyday user much simpler.
Thanks. That's a nice overview. And all of that is based on an Oracle network, right? Could you maybe explain a little bit about the network of networks, so to speak, and how Chainlink secures all of these services?
Of course. So when you think about blockchains, blockchains reach consensus using a consensus algorithm. And the participants in such a consensus algorithm, for example, in proof of stake, are called validator nodes. And they agree on some stuff, and that's going to be put in the blockchain. And the stuff they agree on is usually which users made what transactions at what time. But you can reach consensus about different things. It doesn't have to be just transactions and their order and their content. It can be, is it raining outside or not? Or what's the price of, I don't know, Apple stocks? You can reach consensus around arbitrarily like events or computations or data, or what's the result of 2 + 2. You can reach consensus around that by having multiple parties compute that and then agree on the result. So what Chainlink, or let me start like this. So the blockchain industry, they really pushed the research and engineering in in consensus algorithms, and they used it to build blockchain. So Chainlink generalized this a lot by building a platform and a consensus algorithm that can do a lot of things and is not limited to just blocks and blockchains. So they built these Oracle networks, and the consensus algorithm is called OCR, off-chain reporting, and they use this to build all their products. So in price feeds, these nodes, the participants in this Oracle network, they fetch data and they agree on, for example, the average price of Ripple coin. Then you have random numbers. So it's a similar base layer of architecture, the Oracle network, but it runs a different piece of code. And instead of fetching price data, they compute a random number and agree on that this is the random number that they want to send. And so they've used the same infrastructure of decentralized consensus to build different services. And we just talked about the services. It's automation, it's computation, it's data, and it's cross-chain.
Okay, let's dive maybe into a specific example, but I want to know, what are the requirements to be a node in the Chainlink network? Can that anybody do, or is that a permissionless process? How does that work?
So my latest information, and please keep in mind, I'm not a Chainlink affiliate or ambassador or something. I'm just a tech enthusiast. But my latest status is that they node providers are handpicked by Chainlink Labs, the company behind the Chainlink network. However, they're very strong. So they have plans to decentralize this, to fully grow out the network and let it fly. But this hinges on staking and a couple of other technical developments, and we're not quite there yet. So at the moment, I think you need to be a big company, you need to provide unique value and have the sufficient resources to provide the services, because Chainlink security is top notch. They haven't had a single security incident in, I think, how long, mainnet? 5 years. So, that's track record in crypto. So handpicked is the answer right now.
All right, but the plan is to make this application process permissionless, so that anybody can spin up a Chainlink node and provide services to the network.
In theory, you can. The code is open source. In theory, if you don't want to play the game, you want to have your own data source right now, you can just spin up your own Oracle network. So
that's interesting. And these networks are called DAWNs, right? Decentralized Oracle networks?
Exactly. The D stands for decentralized.
All right. Cool. Let's talk about specific examples. So you already mentioned price feeds. So that would be for decentralized exchanges. If you're trading on a perp DEX and you want to have a reliable Bitcoin price feed or a reliable Ripple price feed, you would purchase these price feeds through Chainlink services.
Correct. So what I've seen, in the industry over the last couple of years is that there's multiple different consumers of price data, and they have different requirements because they're building different products. On the one hand, or one side of the consumers, we have lending markets. Aave is the prime example. Obviously, they need price data. If you don't use a good Oracle, you'll get Oracle exploit. And if you've been on this ride for long enough, you've seen your or lending market exploits, or maybe even suffered your own. So that's one of the biggest customers of data, right, of price data right now. And with lending markets, I include stable coins, because you're essentially lending a freshly minted token. But lending markets, stable coins, they need price data. What they don't need is an update every 500 milliseconds. That's not, if your lending market hinges on 500 milliseconds latency, you should probably adjust your risk parameters. So they need very, very reliable push data whenever something big changes. So if Bitcoin goes from 97 to 96, that's a big event. You need to push that. But if there's a Binance wick from $200 on the 1 second chart, doesn't matter for Aave. It shouldn't matter. So you have this on the one side, the slow data consumer, and then you have the very fast data consumer. the perp markets, for example. They need to have sub-second latency and the latest data fresh, because people are trading on these timeframes with automated systems. So you have, on the one hand, the guys who need very high frequency, and on the other side, you have the guys who maybe don't need the high frequency, but other stuff is interesting for them. For example, they might be interested in liquidity profiles. You can have oracles for that as well. So same customer, but different flavors.
Yeah, and that is also the strong suit of Chainlink. That Chainlink offers the whole suite of products to services, right? And not only low latency price feeds or small latency price feeds, but like you said before, you mentioned CCIP, then the Chainlink automation. Those are very valuable services as well that sometimes even come hand in hand with the price Oracle services. So would you say that is the main advantage that Chainlink has over other Oracle providers?
So Chainlink has multiple main advantages about other Oracle providers. One of them is that each of their products is superior in their own regard, but that's just one thing. So if you look just the price feeds, just the random numbers, just cross-chain, each of their products is superior to any competitor out there. But as you said, they're tightly integrated into a platform, which makes it even stronger. Like the sum of the whole is bigger than the individual pieces. For example, what you can do with CCIP and automation and price feeds. So you can have NFTs, and I'm not talking about JPEGs. I'm talking about certain trade agreements or like actual things that are tokenized in NFT, real world assets. You can have a real world asset, send that to a different chain, and inside the NFT, if the price of gold, for example, changes, it triggers an event using Chainlink automation to send it back to your chain. Those kind of things, you can do pretty much everything with all the data you need. You can automate it with automation, and you can do it on all the different chains with cross-chain. And this interoperability of services itself is unmatched.
That's a great explanation. Thank you for that. So yeah, like you said, it's basically all these products work hand in hand together. So you mentioned CCIP, this cross-chain interoperability, while using the oracles to have price feeds and the automation all in one product integrated. And there's no other competitor that are offering all of these products.
Not even close. It's like you're comparing like spaceships with cavemen.
Okay, here we go. Let's talk about the Link token a little bit. What are the capabilities, or which role does the Link token play in the Chainlink ecosystem?
Okay, so which answer do you want? The future one, the anticipation, or the real one right now?
The real one right now, and then we can talk about the future as well.
So real one right now, it's a funding vehicle for Chainlink Labs. They sell the token, which is great. But jokes aside, it is used as the payment and staking token of the network. So all of these services, they don't come for free. So you need to pay, and they do it in the Link token. So the nodes only and exclusively accept Link. You can pay in other tokens, but they are converted via a payment abstraction layer and built on Uniswap into Link tokens to eventually then pay the nodes. So network payment and network security, so staking. So the data or the various Oracle networks will be eventually secured by Link staking, and that's the second main purpose of this token.
In the future, will there be any additional use cases, or just the collateral that secures the Oracle networks and the payment network, and that will be enough, so to speak?
I think if there is demand for additional use case, then the token will be utilized for that. But the services need to be secure and you need to pay for them. Everything else, I don't think you need a token for this.
And there we have also the use case for the token. So these dawns, they have to always over collateralize the services that they are securing, correct? So if, maybe
So
expand a
the
bit.
idea, I mean, say you want to tokenize an asset and it's worth $1 billion. Then you, as the token or as the issuer of the tokenized asset, you don't care about $5 or $10 Ethereum mainnet fees. You don't care about, you care about security. So you want to make sure you're on the securest blockchain where you have your token and you use the securest protocols. And you want to ensure that whatever security they offer is greater than what you bring to the table. Because if you bring $1 billion to the table and they are only secured by $1 million, well, they might as well take the money and run. So you want to be in the most secure place, which means Ethereum blockchain right now, potentially in the future Bitcoin, but right now it's Ethereum, and you want to use Chainlink, and you want to use Oracle networks that are secured by more value than you bring to the table. And that value, just to go a little bit into the technical part, is calculated as a quadratic formula. So by the nodes. So if you have multiple nodes can have maybe just $1,000, but if you have a lot of nodes in the system, then the security just goes up exponentially. And that means that they can really scale these networks, and operators can actually provide the security using this staking mechanism that the issuers, like the demand, actually needs. And it's a very sleek design of staking.
Okay, and you said right now it is mainly used as a funding vehicle for the Chainlink Labs. I read a report, I think it was a year ago almost, and Chainlink Labs actually already makes good money via their services. So why do you think they're still dumping on their holders?
It's a little bit of a meme that has been going around for many, many years. I mean, there was an ICO to make a raise, and they have been selling a lot of tokens. But on the other hand, they have been also circulating the tokens, and it's just in part of the maturity of a ecosystem to distribute the tokens over time. So it's a little bit of a meme in the Chainlink community. They do, you're right, they do make a lot of money by charging Web3 projects, especially layer 2s, layer 1s. But while there's no data, I'm very, very sure they also make a good amount of money in the TradFi world. And just, I think we're going to go into this a little bit deeper later on. But just if you look at the partnerships that Chainlink has, which are actual partnerships, and they, share a stage and talk about it, we're using Chainlink like actual partnerships. If you look at the amount of money involved in these companies, I don't think Chainlink needs to sell a token to pay their employees. I think that ship has passed.
Yeah, so they're already a profitable company, but they don't list their official financial statements, right? So nobody really knows what they're making. Is that still the case?
That's my latest update. Yeah, I think this had to do with the US regulations. They wanted to be in a rather neutral. I think they're in Cayman. They want to be in a rather neutral place where they can build without, the West or the East, trying to influence what they're building, because they really have a multi-decade big picture goal to revolutionize how the world operates, and you just can't let anybody, get in between you and that goal. But okay. I don't know the exact financials of Chainlink.
Okay, so just to summarize here, so we have a Dawn, a decentralized Oracle network that secures a price of a specific token, for example. And each of the nodes within the Dawn has to stake Link, the Chainlink token, in order to secure the value of their price feed that they in turn are giving to the decentralized application. For example, GMX has a partnership with Chainlink, and the value of the collateral of the Link token always has to surpass the the money that is at stake that can be stolen from the GMX exchange?
In essence, yes. So the you don't need more link collateral because the value also grows with number of nodes. So you can have a very small Oracle network with a lot of link tokens, or a very big validator network or Oracle network with a little bit less link, but it's still has more economic security because of the way the algorithm works. So more nodes is also a driving factor for economic security. It's not only the link token price. But in essence, it's correct.
So it would be dependent on the app then, what kind of services they want. Because if GMX were to say, okay, we only want 20 node provider on, because the others are not reliable enough for us, then they would have to pay more money for these only 20 node providers, whereas they would say, okay, for this other market we can have like a Oracle network of 100 nodes, and then we have to pay less for these services because these dawns can
it depends on how much link they have. Imagine you have like you can also eventually, they said you'll be able to interact with subsets of oracles. So if you say, there's this huge oracle network of 100 nodes, and every node has a million link tokens staked, and it's just securing billions and gazillions of dollars. And you say, yeah, I got my lending market with 100K TVL, you can just say, all right, I just want 3 nodes, that's enough economic security for me. And then you actually pay less. So you'd be able to scale down your security needs and pay accordingly. So if you have little needs, you pay little. If you need a lot of link and a lot of nodes, you pay more.
And how does an app actually purchase these services? Are they applying right now to the Chainlink labs, or is that already a permissionless service that any Web3 app can purchase? How does that work?
The services are mostly permissionless. The goal is to have all of them fully permissionless. But if Chainlink Maps is in the process of rolling a new service out or making major improvements, they might have a invite list, or a whitelist, like for friends and family, to use it first until it's fully fleshed out. But everything like price data, automation, all that stuff is you don't need to open up an account anywhere or do anything. You just need link tokens, soon you don't even need link tokens, but you can just use it if you know how to do it.
What is the latest development that you are aware of CCIP, the cross-chain interoperability protocol? Because when it launched last year, I think it only included, one layer 2, which was Optimism and Ethereum mainnet. Were there any significant developments there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. You can check it on ccip.chain.link. You can check the span of the network, how it connects. You can see which chain connects with which. You can see live transactions like a feed. And there has been a lot of work on CCIP on the technical side, on the business side with more integrations. When CCIP launched, and CCIP has been, you could say, the biggest product they launched so far, at least probably the most complex one. Like CCIP itself uses many different Oracle networks in this service. So it's not just one, like for example, for random numbers, you have one Oracle network that provides a random number, but for CCIP or for price feeds, same thing. But for CCIP, you have many different Oracle networks providing parts of the service because it's so complex. And you even want like different validator or node operator sets just to really max out the decentralization here. And CCIP is arguably the most, or one of the most complex ones. It's even in the name, Chainlink, it's their crown jewel so far. It launched in the bear market. Adoption has been abysmal. There has been just a couple of dudes sending some tokens left and right, and teams playing with it, integrating it into the services. But if you guys have been around in the bear market, there was just very little like hardcore DeFi or NFT activity. Some meme coiners here and there, but not real on-chain activity. So it struggled to gain adoption. But by now, it has really ramped up volume. And Nico, you talked about the platform. We talked about the individual services, and we talked about the platform. And this platform effect is making CCIP gain market share, on the monthly, because if you are hooked up into the Chainlink ecosystem, you have a lending market, you want Chainlink price data because they're the most reliable price feed out there. Then you think, hey, I want to do a stable coin. And now that you have a stable coin, you want that to be across chains. So as an engineer, you're like, yeah, we got this platform and it already offers what we need. Why should we, get busy with another platform? We need to keep relations with the team, and something goes wrong. We need to learn a new product, read the documentation, be up to date on their release schedule, and so on. Or you just use Chainlink. This is why AWS is so successful, because they have a cloud platform. So it's same with Chainlink. You're already in. Price feeds is like the first shot the dealer gives you for free, and then you want to use cross chain, and you can easily integrate it because it's part of the platform. So it's really getting a lot of market share right now, and we do not know the activity in the TradFi world. I don't think there's anybody really working on interoperability between bank chains. You have these Ripple folks who try to, create their own blockchain and get the whole world on their blockchain, which is not going to work. So I think market share in the TradFi world is pretty close to 100%.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So I'm on the website right now, CCIP. So it says they have 122 protocols right now onboarded, and I saw Arbitrum as well on here. So they're starting to onboard. I think I've seen Scroll somewhere. So they're starting to onboard all the layer 2s as well. Linea is on here, I'm seeing. So that is going into the right direction. And
I mean, look, it's at the point where Aave is essentially Chainlink's pet project. And everybody wants to have Aave on their chain because it's the biggest, most secure, and most successful lending and borrowing market out there, and they have a stablecoin. But Aave exclusively uses Chainlink. So if you launch a chain and you want a lending market, you want Aave. And if you want Aave, you need Chainlink, because otherwise Aave says no, get lost. And then you have to pay up. And then you already got the Chainlink services on chain, you get Aave, you get GMX, because they use Chainlink as well. And boom, you got Chainlink and all its pet projects on your chain.
That makes total sense. The Aave project is an EVM-based project, though. Do you see maybe, I don't know, another chain, for example, Solana, Ripple, that has a different programming language where maybe there's another lending market that is gaining dominance that doesn't use Chainlink? Do you see a potential scenario like that, or not really?
I mean, in theory, yes. But then again, look, I think Chainlink feeds are already live on Solana. So Chainlink is also going to non-EVM chains. It's a little bit slower because it's more development overhead, but they're also expanding to non-EVM chains. But this goes a little bit more into DeFi. I mean, if you look at Aave or Uniswap, these projects are the winners in their respective fields, and they're digging a moat year by year, and it doesn't seem like anybody is getting close. I mean, if you look at same for TVL on Ethereum. I mean, sure, you got all the meme coin craze and all the influencers, but if you look at the money, then it's just Ethereum. There's no second settlement layer. Like there's just none. I don't see that as a threat, so to speak. But even if it were, Chainlink Labs has the answer, which they released a little while ago, which is, I think, one of the coolest products. And this, again, gets a little bit technical, so I want to make sure everybody gets the high-level picture here. So back in the days when computer science really took off, which was in the, I don't know, 60s, 70s, and you got to a point where a computer doesn't have to be stored in a warehouse, and people have to start programming for companies. You have hardware, and that hardware has an interface, and to make the computer, the hardware, do something, you need to speak its language. And the result was that if you have different computers, you need different programs. So you buy the, I don't know, IBM 1970 computer. It has this interface, so you need to program for this. Then you buy the IBM 1971 and has a different interface, so you need to rewrite your program. That doesn't work. It's a little bit similar to what we see right now in crypto. Every blockchain has their own execution environment. You write a program, you build it on Ethereum. Okay, great. Now you go to some layer 2. It uses a different version of the EVM, so you need to rewrite it. Then you go to Solana, which uses Solana EVM. Then you go to Cosmos VM. This is early stage what we saw. This is not novel development. If you understand a little bit of history, computer science, you know what happens next. So the problem is clear. You have no portability of code, which just makes scaling and cross-chain building almost impossible. So the solution that we had in history was that Java came about, and Java created a Java runtime environment, which is a program you install on each computer, and then you can run every Java program. And it doesn't matter which version the hardware is, it's completely abstracted away by the Java virtual machine or the Java runtime environment. And Chainlink just released the Chainlink runtime environment, which is already used in production. And the idea is you write code and then you deploy it on 10 chains. But it doesn't matter what virtual machine, what version of EVM, what this, what that is running there, because it's abstracted away. This is the Chainlink runtime environment. Technical, but highly interesting if you know the history about it. Java, who came about with this Java runtime environment, pretty much dominated the entire engineering space for many, many years. A lot of products are still built in Java because it's so easy, and Chainlink is just replicating this. And again, there's just no competitor to this. There's just no.
Yeah, and to me, that sounds like it's an useful addition to CCIP. Are there synergies there?
They haven't released too much about CRE, so Chainlink Runtime Environment, because it released just, I think, 2 months ago. But I can imagine that inside this Chainlink Runtime environment, you can very easily interact with the various Chainlink services. So if you want to fetch some data, get some prices, automate something, I think they will have very neat integrations for developers to quickly code things up.
Okay. What is your thoughts about layer 2s on Ethereum in general? Because layer 2s have the main purpose to outsource the computation of the main layer onto the layer 2s. But Chainlink has a similar service. So will the on-chain computation part be outsourced to the layer 2s and all the other services to Chainlink? Or will Chainlink do eventually all of the computation?
So it's still, from my perspective, not fully clear where the exact line will be drawn. I mean, there's this battle of, who gets market share in what domain. And I think Ethereum succeeded as a settlement layer. Although I think Bitcoin with all the layer 2s it's in development to at least watch very closely. But I think Ethereum's, as of today, I think clearly dominates this. Layer 2s, very interesting. Chainlink Labs had a product that was targeted at layer 2s to extract, provide service and thereby, gain market share there. Fair sequencing, which aimed to solve the sequencing problem of layer 2s and replace the centralized sequencer with a decentralized Oracle network that sequences it. But since I think I don't know if they've discontinued it or they're still researching on it, but the research has been going on for many years now and the product isn't live yet. So far, I think the layer 2 itself, I think Chainlink is not expanding in that way, at least nothing public. I think, however, Chainlink is already very, very deeply integrated into those layer 2s. And if you have the entire stack from the runtime environment that allows you to write a contract and port it to 50 different chains, the data, the automation, the cross-chain, I think it's just a very small step to add a blockchain on top, a blockchain secured by Chainlink oracles. And then you have pretty much the entire stack. But so far, they haven't done it. I know they're doing research in blockchain development. but so far they haven't.
Yeah, because it sounds like it's possible, and that would, I don't know, make all the layer twos obsolete, so to speak. And then the question would be, how much value is in the settlement of these transactions? I don't know, because Ethereum, you said, has won these settlement wars, so to speak. We're going to talk about Bitcoin in a second, but what do you think? How much value is there? I would imagine the computation layer has much more value than the settlement layer.
Yes, true. I mean, cars are more valuable than the street they're built on. I still think the settlement layer has a lot of value to it. I think, like, if the whole, like, eventually, not if, when the whole world runs on blockchain, I think we're looking at significantly higher market caps for the whatever settlement layer has won the wars, which right now I think it's Ethereum, significantly higher than it is today. But I think most of the value will be in the data, because data has value, and you need to secure that data to get it on chain. And that brings us back to the link token, which secures the data quality and liveness that is coming from the real world on chain. So I think this layer between the blockchain world and the real world, the Chainlink maxis, they call it the meta layer, the layer in between, I think that will capture most of the value.
Mm-hmm. And diverting a little bit from Chainlink right now, you said the settlement debate is still a little bit undecided between Bitcoin and Ethereum. From my understanding, these Bitcoin layer twos that are popping up are just trusted multisigs with no perspective of being fully permissionless and giving this same settlement assurances as the Bitcoin main layer. Why do you think the race is still open there? Is there any technical perspective I don't have here?
It's less. So Ethereum is clearly advanced on the technical side compared to Ethereum on the rollup, developments. But Bitcoin has a lot of money behind it, and the Ethereum layer twos, they're also centralized. Hopefully better than a multisig, but most of them are also just a multisig and some sequencer that's running on some guy's basement server.
Yes, but they have the capacity to be decentralized and trustless in the future, no?
Yeah, of course. But I think the same holds true for the Bitcoin layer twos. They're much earlier in the development, and I think they lack a clear leader person, or a leading foundation like the Ethereum Foundation that really values decentralization. I think that's really at the core of the Ethereum community: decentralization, censorship resistance. However, I think just the sheer amount of money involved in Bitcoin, there's a lot of interest in providing additional value for Bitcoin that goes beyond just a store of value. So as long as Bitcoin has such an enormous market capitalization, research development will flow into development of new products, for example, layer twos that can be built on chain. And obviously, they know exactly that the users want decentralized and censorship resistant layer twos. So that's where the money is going in. That's why they're building zero knowledge layer twos and so on. So they're behind Ethereum, no question. But I think they have an edge on money, which is just market cap.
So, but it is then theoretically also technically possible to have trustless Bitcoin L2s, or would that require a new hard fork?
I don't know.
Okay, yeah, because that's really where the crux is. I think Ethereum, is further along in the race, and to my understanding, the current version of Bitcoin, you cannot have trustless layer twos, even technically. But maybe I should invite a Bitcoin expert on here. And
you should invite a Bitcoin expert. But my argument wasn't revolving around the technicalities, because if the money is right, you can do pretty much everything, or at least try it. And it was just for example, Solana. Solana is far behind Ethereum on the settlement layer and has significantly less money. So no competition. Bitcoin technically behind, but they have 3-4 times the market cap, and that's a lot.
All right. And regarding the governance, so right now all is in the hands still of the Chainlink Labs hands. Eventually, I guess the governance rights would go over to token holders.
Yeah, so there is no DAO or protocol governance, like you might see it with Uniswap DAO or Aave DAO. That's not the case here. These Oracle networks are really operated individually by the node operators, and they decide on upgrades of versions. So it is already decentralized on that level. So they could, in theory, reject proposal upgrades, but it's node specific, and it won't happen.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, right now it's also in the best interest for Chainlink Labs to develop the project into the right direction. Yeah, there's this common critique I see on Twitter popping up once in a while, that all of DeFi is dependent on a 5 of 7 multi-sig Chainlink multi-sig.
Yeah.
Is that still the case, or was there any
Good old
development there?
multi-sig fund. It's true, and people are paying for it.
All right, let's talk about so what I think might be a competition for Chainlink, actually. The protocol that came recently out, Eigenlayer. And the reason why I think Eigenlayer might be a competition here is because they use Ethereum as a restaking asset, which now has, at least at the moment, has a way higher market cap than Link itself, and they can, in theory, provide all the services that Chainlink provides as well. Or am I wrong here?
I think Vitalik, I think 5 years ago, he made an article. He wrote an article about why an Oracle network needs a token that is not Ethereum. It's too long for me to exactly remember the contents, but he made some very eloquent arguments on why it can't be Ethereum. It needs to be a separate token, as to not commingle the security of the data and the settlement that that settles these transactions that do the Oracle stuff. So I'll just leave that for the listeners to look up. On Eigenlayer, so I think that in the development of technologies, there is a point where being better is not sufficient anymore. If you now were to come up with an idea for a faster internet, you could have it could be 10x faster, but it won't work. If you say, hey, go to my website, but you have to change the internet you're using, everybody's like, what are you doing, dude? Just doesn't work. So even like I don't know like enough about Eigenlayer to say, it's true that they have some edges or not some edges. So just in general, even if they were better, assuming they were, then they have so much catching up to do that like the train is leaving, and I think it has already left, where it's pretty much impossible for anybody to catch up, because you don't have to replicate a single Chainlink service. You have to replicate the entire product suite. You have to have it running secure for many years. Just because you launch a product, do you think a huge bank, like a Swiss bank, will tokenize $1 billion just because you launched a good product yesterday? No, they want to see what's your track record. And you say, yeah, 10 years, no exploits. And I say, yeah, we're getting somewhere. So, and then you would have to wait another 5 years until you have a track record. But by that time, the moat has grown by another 5 years. So I think we're at a point where, unless Chainlink Labs truly makes a big mistake, it becomes very hard for, even if there were a technical superior competitor, to catch up. I mean, I already made the argument that even if you were to have a better price feed, better automation, better this, better that, it wouldn't matter because you don't have the better platform. And I think the same goes for competitors that try to replicate the platform, because you have to replicate the track record, the ecosystem, the node operators, the integrations. Like Aave Aave won't switch to EigenLayer just because they're 5% better. There's cost involved. There's risk involved. They've, 6 years relationship with Chainlink. So you need to be 10x better than Chainlink, 20x better. So they say, yeah, how can we not switch? And I don't see that happening anymore. They're too far into the development of their systems.
I agree. And same goes potentially for Ethereum, because there is so far along in that race. Even if there is a 10x better blockchain, it's so hard to overcome these network effects that probably Ethereum will win the race anyways, even if they're lagging 2 years behind in their development.
Arguably, yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about a little bit more fun stuff. So the Link token, so Chainlink has enabled staking also. And there is a program called Build Program. Tell us a little bit about the Build Program and what the goal is and how you might profit of the Build Program as a Chainlink staker.
Yeah. All right. So I think we're 50 minutes in and I haven't said my mandatory disclaimer. This is not financial advice. Everything we say here is just for fun purposes and entertainment. So with that out of the way, we already talked about how Chainlink pretty much forces new chains to pay up big time, because otherwise you don't get the apps, you don't get the builders, you don't get the community, you get nothing. Something similar is happening in the app space. So if you want the best and if you want your protocol to be secure and work like GMX, where reliable low latency price data is a very important part of the system, you need to pay up. And Chainlink Labs has such a good product and so many teams that can pay up, that they have a program, an actual framework designed. So, hey, read this. This is how you can pay up. And this is called the Build Program. And essentially, it means that if you want Chainlink, you need to pay in the form of money to Chainlink Labs and in the form of tokens to Chainlink node operators, and Chainlink stakers. And if you are one of the very few and legendary stakers that got in version 1 and now version 2, these staking rewards from I think over 100 different projects are sitting idle. They just released, I think, an article some time ago that with the change of US administration, there's more regulatory clarity. The code's already ready for some time, but now there's more regulatory clarity. So they can actually release these staking rewards without being deemed a security, which is, from what you hear people whispering, supposed to happen this year during the bull run, so 2025, which means there is 100 plus projects that are going to airdrop to you, including huge projects like Space and Time, Truthflation, GMX. GMX actually pays 1% of their total network protocol fee to Chainlink as a subscription service for being the launch partner for low latency oracles. So, long story short, if you stake Link, you get a bunch of airdrops.
Yes, it's what I'm on the website right now, and it says 109 projects in the Build collaboration. Do you know if all the Build collaborators or partners do have to airdrop, or could there be any other agreements in form of?
There can be other agreements. Again, Chainlink is not community driven. It's company. They run it like an actual company. So you don't know what's happening inside Apple, and you don't know what's happening inside Chainlink Labs. So we don't know, like most of the agreements, we have no idea what the specifics are. Some agreements, they have wrote Medium articles, for example, with GMX, because it's just a very prominent example. But for the most part, we have no idea what it is. If you read the article about the Build program, you see the requirements, and it's just a framework. So where exactly they land, no idea. I think it speaks from 1 to 5% of the total token supply needs to be given to Chainlink to be distributed at their discretion to node operators, stakers, and so on. But specifics, we will find out when it comes.
Yeah, cool. And I mean, it doesn't have to be 109 airdrops. I would already be glad with 20 airdrops because I got into the Chainlink staking program. So yeah, that would be already awesome. And I can only imagine, talking about price now, no financial advice, as David said earlier, what the Chainlink price will be once, I don't know, 10 airdrops has gotten in the hands of Chainlink stakers. So that could be a very explosive development, particularly in the bull market. Do you have any predictions when it comes to link price? What is the previous all-time high, and what do you expect for this bull market?
Previous all-time high was around $50. I think, like, do you want the realistic or the bull case here?
I want both. I want both.
It really depends on the development of staking. So I think if they release staking, I mean, airdrops, that's nice, that's hype, its number go up, people get free money, great. But the actual big mover, the value layer, the internet of value that is being built, that it's going to be worth quadrillions. If you watch the Bankless podcast, I think that depends on how fast Chainlink ships. I don't think they're going to manage to pull it off this cycle. It's going to be, step by step by step. So I think we won't see the absolute crazy god candles just this cycle. However, just by the force of market coverage and market share, partnerships, airdrops coming, I think a 10x from all-time high, given their market cap, is not out of the ordinary. I mean, Ethereum went from $700 to, I think, 5,000. So that's almost a 10x. They did their, or when did Ethereum start in that cycle? I think it was even lower. Right?
So it peaked at 1,400 in 2017. Then it went down to $70, and from there to 4,800. That's right around there.
But the market cap is much lower. So I think in the bear market, Chainlink has a market cap, I think, 3 billion. So just by getting to the level of Ripple, they would almost pull a 10x from here. So I
yes,
think
that's correct.
We're getting into hot territory at 200. But I think depending on how crazy the announcement gets and how much airdrop value we get, I think we could blow off double that or maybe triple.
Yes, like you said, depending on the announcement. I mean, if a JP Morgan announces like a huge integration or any other,
that's already done. Like that's old story.
Yes, but I mean an actual like actual value flowing on chain, not just the announcement that it is going to happen in the future, but that is actually
even that is happening already. The Bank of New Zealand is actually transacting carbon and reef credits via Chainlink services. So
I think the Bank of Australia as well, right?
Yeah, could be. I heard that name a couple of times.
Yeah.
But price is, as we've seen with meme coins, with Ripple, it's oftentimes detached from reality. So the price question really hinges on how crazy the cycle get, how many rate cuts we get, like macro stuff. And less if Chainlink ships staking version 2 or 3 this cycle. I think on the long term, this is what's going to make the difference between going down 99% again and just going down a little and then going up and up and up like Bitcoin or Ethereum. But I think this cycle, we just have a standard. I think it's going to trade a lot like many other tokens, to be honest.
Cool. Any last words? Anything we didn't touch upon Chainlink? Anything, that I forgot to ask you?
The price goal for 2040 is 81,000 link tokens, so 81,000 United States dollarinos for one Chainlink ticker link token. And you can actually get the token at a cheap price of just $21.99. I think that's a steal. Just gotta wait a little time, and then 81K, I take it. So strap in, boys. That's gonna be a wild ride.
and secure your financial future. Just give us like 2 to 3 sentences how you arrive at that number.
So if you take all the money in the world and divide it by, I think it's 100 million link tokens or a billion link tokens, then you get to the number of $81,000 per Chainlink.
Because in theory, all the money would go through Chainlink on chain and be settled through the services. So it's what, $81,000 and a little bit, yeah. Okay, yeah. Bullish, sir. Thank you for the interview. We'll have you on when Chainlink is at $200, and we'll have a little party here on the podcast, I would say.
Yeah, next price target, 81K.
All right, thank you so much, and see you the next time. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Nico. Bye-bye.